Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my weekly deck reviews. I have lots of things to talk about. I always say that, but you know, buckle up and all the usual things. If you are new to my channel or new to this series, Weekly Deck Reviews is my weekly video where I share with you the decks that I've been working with over the past week. Usually one tarot and one oracle deck, although I do change that up from time to time. This week, I'm going to be talking about the Tarot de Maria Celia, which is the tarot deck I've been working with all week, and the Animalkin Oracle deck, which I have also been working with all week. So let's talk about the tarot first. And I also, at the end of this video, will be sharing with you what I'm going to be working with next week and a little bit about that. This Marseille deck is so dang cute. So if you haven't seen the Tarot de Maria Celia, it is a tinned deck by US Games. This is by Leonard Jim Narciso, I'm probably pronouncing your name wrong, I'm very sorry. But he is the creator also of the Vanessa Tarot, which is another tinned deck that I believe is available from US Games. I don't know if that one is still in print. I'm spilling cards all over myself. There's something about a tinned deck that just makes me happy. I'm really, really glad I picked this up. I love this particular illustration style. It's very old world, but also kind of cartoonish. So to me, it's kind of this beautiful mix of old and new. It has all of the traditional Marseille elements, the decorative elements, the arrangement of the pips, the directions that the major arcana face. So everything that I need to work with is definitely there, but it's just got a little bit of a playful vibe hidden beneath these really beautiful, vivid gem tones that are also kind of muted by parchment and this like vintage aged look to the cards. It was a lot of fun to work with, beautiful to look at, and I'm so glad I own it. I can't see myself rehoming this deck really ever. I just really adored working with it. And if anything, I would say I'm looking forward to working with a slightly larger deck next week, but I really enjoyed how portable these were, how easy they were to play with. The cardstock, anything US Games puts out lately, I really like the cardstock. These are thinner than a lot of the like fresh new decks coming off of US Games, but these were a lot more flexible. They shuffled beautifully. Oh, the backs. That is what the backings look like. And they do vary a little bit. So when you fan them out, the edges aren't, well, maybe they do perfectly match, but it seems to me, no, I guess they do perfectly match, but it seems like when you're laying them out, almost like it gives it almost like this tea-stained kind of look. When I see them on camera, they do look like they're all, the borders are exactly the same, but when you're actually working with them, it almost like it's a trick of the eye, and it seems like they're just kind of, yeah, see the fronts aren't. Okay, so the backs match, but if you look at the borders around the fronts of the cards, they don't all perfectly match. So you get this sort of aged look to the cards. This is a great deck. If you want like a starter Marseille and something that's just pretty to look at, has, you know, kind of a fun element, or if you find the traditional coloring of the Marseille, which has a purpose, it was like the, you know, that was the coloring that was available at the time. There's nothing wrong with the coloring, but if you find that a little off-putting or it turns you off of wanting to play with Marseille, this is a really wonderful deck to work with because the colors are softer. It's not those like blue, yellow, red, green kind of colors. It's just softer and prettier. So if you want something softer and prettier and affordable, this is a really, really good one. So I've really, really been enjoying it. Can I say really again? How annoying is that? I will say that the Little White Book, I have mixed feelings about, because I feel like what it really did was give me an RWS meaning for each of the cards, and I wanted something that leaned more traditionally Marseille because that's what I'm trying to work with and learn and study. So that was a little bit frustrating. I didn't find myself using the Little White Book. On the other hand, if you are the person that likes to work with a pip deck but use RWS meanings, you'll probably love this because it does merge a little bit of numerology in with RWS meanings. At least that's how I interpreted the information in the guidebook. That may not be what the author intended, but that's certainly what came across to me. Being somewhat new to Marseille, this felt more RWS for sure. So let's talk about the books I've been working with. I talked about them a bit in last week's weekly deck review, and so please feel free to check that out. I have a playlist of all my weekly deck reviews so you can easily find like the one last one or the next one, that sort of thing if you're watching these. But I do love me a deck in a tin. that's what I want to finish saying. I could not see rehoming this deck. I love that I have a Rider-Waite-Smith deck and a Marseille deck in a tin. And I feel like if I end up studying Thoth and liking Thoth, I'm gonna need like a Thoth deck in a tin. But we'll get there when we get there, because I'm not there yet. Marseille is plenty for me for now. So let me dive into the books. So I have to tell you, I'm a little bit dependent right now on this Caitlin Matthews book, Untold Tarot. This was the one that I read my first couple weeks working with Marseille decks, and I'm very attached to these methods and this way of looking at the cards. I think I need to take a break from this method because I'm getting so attached to it, and I want to, I could not give, so I was actually intending, let me back up. I was intending to work with this book this week, which is the Yoav Bendov Marseille Tarot Revealed, but between a whole bunch of things, including some really important work that I had to get done this week, I didn't get a lot of quality time to revisit this, and I did look some of the meanings up in the book, like as I went through the week for my daily draws, but I just didn't have the time this week to really sit with it the way that I wanted to, and I feel like this is still too fresh in my mind, so I think what I've decided to do is put both of these away for next week and do something a little different, which I'll explain in a minute, but I want to come back to this book with fresh eyes after I've had a break, and I want to make sure that I've kind of set this aside for at least 1 week to really give this a fair shake. So I'm gonna put these both aside for this upcoming week, and then I'm gonna revisit them after that. So coming up, oh actually before I get into what's coming up this week Marseille wise, because I am on if you didn't know this already, unless you watch every single one of my weekly deck reviews, you wouldn't know this, but I am actually working with Marseille decks until I've worked with all of my Marseille or Pip style decks. So I'm kind of working through them week by week, and during that process, I've ordered one new Marseille deck, which will hopefully arrive during this process, and I received a different Pip deck today that I'm going to be sharing with you guys as the deck I'm working with next week. So this is a whole journey, and I don't plan to come back to RWS with the exception, let me back up. This is like, how many times in a Lisa video does she say, let me back up, because she starts tangent towning? A lot. She does it a lot. She's also talking about herself in the third person, which isn't creepy at all. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to be working with Marseille steady for a while, with the exception of when I go down to the Northwest Tarot Symposium, which is coming up really quick. If you guys did not know, I have talked about it, but probably not enough. I'm going to be presenting at the Northwest Tarot Symposium this year in Clackamas, Oregon. It's just outside of Portland. That is happening the weekend of March 7th. I am presenting on this Sunday, and I'm doing a talk on tarot for walking the self-worth path. I'm very much looking forward to it. I do know that when I went to Northwest Tarot Symposium last year, I really wanted to work with a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So I'll probably bring a Rider-Waite-Smith for the classes. But other than that, I will be working with Marseille. So the Oracle deck that I've been working with this past week, since I'm gonna try to move myself along here, is the Animalkin Oracle. This is a favorite of mine. It is so beautiful. This is by Sarah Wilder. It was originally an indie deck, and then it was picked up by Hay House. Hay House did an incredible job on this deck. It's beautiful, smooth, like silky matte cardstock. It's thick, it's sturdy feeling. It's not got any kind of gold gilding on it or anything. It's just really nice quality cards. These are so gorgeous. I love that all of the different backgrounds, oh sorry, each card has its own unique background, and it ties in with the card itself. You could dive pretty deep into this Oracle deck. There's a lot of animal wisdom here, but there's also wonderful expansive keywords. There's also a really comprehensive system. You have a suit system in this deck that that's comprised of all 5 elements, including the element of spirit. And there's mandalas here in the center you can use to identify the suit, as well as a number for each card, so you can easily find it in the guidebook. This is such a joy to work with. I freaking love this deck. It is my absolute #1 when it comes to animal decks, and when I think of working with an animal deck, as far as oracles go, this is like for sure the one that I think to reach for every single time. I have another one. It is the Spirit of the Animals by Jody Bergsma, and I do like that deck as well. I did do a video on my channel, which I will try to remember to link up in the cards, where I did a comparison of a bunch of my animal decks at the time. I talked about this one being my favorite, but I also talked about my experience with my other animal decks and ones that didn't work out for me and all that kind of thing. So if you're interested in that, click on that, take a look at it. Let me know what you think, but this is such a gem, and it's very unlike a lot of the other decks that Hay House has, so it can be easy to overlook. I very rarely see this one in their deck sales, but it is, as far as I know, still available. You can get it on Amazon, you can get it from Hay House Direct, and it is beautiful. So I love it. I really enjoyed working with it this week. My goal with it this week was to have an oracle card to sort of anchor my daily readings without completely stealing the show, because I want to focus on Marseille. So this was so much fun to work with. And I'm almost a little sad to put it away, but it's not what I want to work with next week because I have other plans. So speaking of those other plans, I am going to still be working with a Marseille/Pip deck, but I'm taking a little venture away from traditional Marseille, and I'll be working with the Baba Studios Mythical Creatures Tarot. I couldn't resist. I literally just filmed my unboxing and walkthrough of this deck, which may even end up going up on my channel before you see this weekly deck review, because I'm really excited to get it out there and out to you guys. But this deck is so stunningly beautiful that I was speechless throughout almost that entire walkthrough. I mean, I talked, you know me, I'm gonna talk the whole dang time because I can't stop talking, but it's so beautiful. And I literally just kept saying, this is so beautiful. So that was super fun to film. But as soon as I had it in my hands, I was like, I have to work with this next week. The timing was too perfect. Here is what the backings look like. I mean, the cold foil stamping on this deck, if you've never felt, touched, handled, looked at in person a Baba Studios deck that has this beautiful cold foil stamping on it, you don't know. But the cameras never do it justice. It is so delicate and beautiful and well done. I don't know if this particular lighting is going to capture it. It's stunning. This is a stunning deck. And what I realized is this is going to be, I think, a really wonderful palette cleanser for me from working with these sort of traditional tarot books, because I have a gorgeous guidebook that I ordered for the Mythical Creatures Tarot, and I love Karen Mahoney's guidebooks. There's some what looks to be really fantastic information in here. I think this will be a very easy book for me to digest and take in, and I'm going to really enjoy playing with this. So just to give you a quick heads up, in case you haven't seen that walkthrough or it's not up on my channel yet, or you haven't seen anybody else's walkthrough, the way this deck is set up is you have mythical creatures for all of the court cards, all of the major arcana, and all of the minors are just traditional, or, well, I don't know if they're traditional. They're not traditional layouts necessarily, but they're all pips. So when we say pips, we just mean, you know, 6 cups. Well, how many is that? 9 cups. 9 cups, or 6 swords, or 3 swords, or whatever it might be. I'm getting a lot of major arcana, but they're just, oh my gosh, these are so pretty. And I really need to like sit with them. I just want to keep playing with them and letting them catch the light, because you just don't know how gorgeous the gilding is. And it's really disappointing that it's so hard to get it to show up properly on camera, but just, these are pretty. They're very, very pretty. And I pre-ordered this many months ago, and I'm so excited to finally have it in my hands. So I'm going to be playing with this week for sure, and letting you guys know how it all works out. But I think it's going to be really good, because the guidebook is laid out in such a way that for every single card you get a Rider-Waite-Smith set of meanings and keywords, as well as a Tarot de Marseille set of meanings and keywords. And also, if there's a mythical creature on that card, you also get the mythical creature's meaning and keywords, and some additional information if you're in a major or a court card. So I'm really excited to play with this week. I'm really excited, in case it didn't show. Real quick note, as usual, I am still working with the same Lenormand deck that I've been working with all through February. I will continue to work with that. That is the Celtic Lenormand. I didn't bring it to show you this week, but I will do a recap once I've worked with it for the entire month. And I'm still working with my beautiful runes and doing my week ahead reading with those. Oh, and the Oracle deck. Gosh, it's like I'm so fixated on this deck. I just can't think about anything else when I'm touching it. Okay, I'm gonna put it in its box and put it away so I can focus. All right, the Oracle deck that I'm gonna be working with this week, I wanted to pick something again that was fairly simple and would let me focus on the Mythical Creatures Tarot. So I'm gonna be working with these beautiful Botanical Inspiration cards from US Games. This is a lovely deck. It's soft, it's gentle, and it's really supportive. This is what the backs look like. Not a fan of the backs. I don't like words or titles of decks or copyrights or all that kind of stuff on my backs of my cards. But these have a beautiful tea-stained look, and because they're just flowers, I think they'll actually pair really, really beautifully with that Mythical Creatures Tarot. And I'm really looking forward to just working with these again. I haven't had them out to play in a while, and they're really, again, really gentle, really loving. I also think with this week being sort of the week of the Valentines and all that sort of thing, we've got a lot of that softer, more nurturing energy floating around anyway. So this just felt like it would match up really, really well. And I'm really excited to have that out. Reading cloth wise, I'm not changing because I'm really loving this one, but I used all this past week. I haven't really been posting many of my daily draws to Instagram or anything like that lately. I will maybe get back in the habit. I'm very hit or miss with Instagram, you guys. You're welcome to follow me over there. I sometimes post, I sometimes don't post. YouTube is sort of my favorite social media platform, so this is where I tend to put most of my time and energy, but I love laying out my cards on beautiful cloths, and I love Peggy's because, well, I love Peggy and she does beautiful work, but I like that they're reversible. So all this last week I was using this really gorgeous sort of purple and gold sort of birch tree background. At least that's what I think it reminds me of. But moving into the Mythical Creatures, I'm going to use this gorgeous sort of green floral or turquoisey Celtic knotwork floral background. I think that's going to be really beautiful behind those decks and give them some nice contrast, which is something I love. So I'm going to be still working with the same cloth, the Mythical Creatures Tarot, the Botanical Inspiration cards, and the guidebook by Karen Mahoney about the Mythical Creatures Tarot. So these are what I'm going to be diving into this week. I think it's going to be really nice. It'll give me that kind of breathing space from the more intellectual approaches to the Tarot de Marseille. I get to kind of dig into this sort of fantasy, beautiful mythical world and learn some more about mythical creatures, which I'm super excited about. And then the following week, I'll probably dive back into a slightly more traditional Marseille deck. But for now, I'm gonna enjoy playing with these. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Tomorrow, I will have up my weekly Tarot by the Book video. That is a video where I do a weekly reading. I randomly draw a deck from my collection. I give the collective a 3-card week ahead reading, and then we dive together into the guidebook. After I've done my intuitive reading, we look at what the deck creators' guidebook, intentions, meanings for those cards were, do a little compare contrast, wrap it up, talk about what I think about that deck, and it's just a really fun new series, so that'll be up on the channel tomorrow morning. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Remember that if you want to book a reading with me, you can do that at supportivetarot.com. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment down below, let me know your thoughts on all of these things, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye!